Hello, my name is Jacob Cooper. I am a near-death experiencer, clinical social worker, and best-selling author of the book The Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder and Life After Breath. I had a near-death experience at just the young age of 3 years old. In this experience, I had what's called whooping cough, which some people may know as pertussis. And during this time, I began to go to a playground like any other child, except when I went on the playground and tried to climb onto the ladder, going onto the slide, I began to notice that my breathing became belabored and it was very difficult due to this condition of pertussis, otherwise known as whooping cough. I was incredibly terrified for my own life because my own life force was being taken from me when I was suffocating. So I tried to breathe in a deep breath, and there was literally nothing that I could hold on to or do at this time. My life was slowly being taken from me. A couple moments later, I noticed that my body was being deprived of oxygen and was just stopping to function. As if you go into a power breaker and shut off one unit at a time, this occurred to my physical body. It was slowly starting to slip from me into the ethers. And there was nothing that I can do to stop my own suffocation and breath. And so you could imagine an analogy that I give as being like a car owner. Imagine you have a car, and imagine you try to push, the pedal, and the car is not working. So instead of being in that car, you're not just going to hang out there in the driver's seat. You're going to walk out of your car, pop the hood, and look at the engine as to what's going on. And so for myself, when my physical body wasn't working properly, I left my body and I was able to check out what was going on. I had a lot of transparency and awareness of my own physical body, what was happening. Moments later, I felt my own brain. And at this time, I was able to become aware of all different parts and sections of my own brain. And moments later, I just felt a large snap in half with my brain. As if you take a plug and that plug is in a wall, and you just yank that plug from the wall. And so that was happened to myself. Once my brain, I felt it just snap in half, was when what we refer to as the other side of the spirit realm totally exploded. And moments later, I could just feel my soul ascending to an infinite euphoria, as if you could imagine yourself being on a roller coaster ride, and you're going higher and higher where there's no possible end. There's no time, there's no limitations, more importantly, with how good you feel inside. And so when I was going and crossing over to home on the other side, it felt like an incredibly comfortable, familiar place that was home to myself and all of those who are listening today. And in moments later, I became aware of my own vibrational frequencies. You see, the other side is nothing more than a higher vibrational frequency than this reality. You just tune up the dial just a little bit. When I entered the other side, I became aware of my own physical body, and I was able to see my physical body from the higher vibrational frequencies on the other side. I became aware of my own right side of my brain, which I now know corresponds to the creative side, the intuitive side, the wise mind. And when I was looking to the right side of my brain, to the back of it, I saw a beautiful golden palace. And when I looked at this palace, I just almost had to shield myself because it was so vibrant and beautiful and it was so powerful. And as I tried to engage with this palace and go into it, I noticed that the colors that I saw had their own sounds, their own energy to them. You see, in this reality, we're used to looking at color and that's all that we see it through the physical eyes. When you're on the other side, when a color comes to you, you do not only see it unidimensionally, you're able to see it, feel it, know it, hear it, and all of your senses explode with just the color as you are entering your multidimensionality on the other side with heightened awareness. When I was looking at this beautiful golden palace, I became aware of angels and angelic choir surrounding and going into this palace. And I felt a sensation as if in our lives we're used to a cap on how good we could feel with euphoria, and we're bio-neurochemical in this lifetime. And when I was crossing over to the other side and I was aware of this beautiful palace, I knew that what I was seeing and was in the presence of was what we would call God, but that word has a lot of religious connotations and baggage to it, and the word itself is subjective through cultural interpretation and religious interpretation. So for this segment, I will refer it to as the centerpiece of the universe, where all of life emanates from and flows from. And when I was able to become aware of this energy, which all of life itself came from, I was just amazed as there was no cap to this. This was this endless apex of reality as what you know it, which every thought, every action, everything that's ever been done or said flows from. But it vibrates and it felt as if I was in unconditional, powerful love with no beginning, no middle, no end. Slowly, a couple moments later, in the distance, I saw just kind of like this flashing color in front of me, this flashing light, as if you're in a dark sky and you see the sky just kind of flashing in front of you. And when I was in this presence, I became aware of my thoughts, and my thoughts were connected to my 3-year-old self. My thoughts consisted of, what would I be if I continued this life? What am I missing out on? What would I look like? What would my parents, feel if I left? Why am I here? What's the rest of my story as this 3-year-old young child? I was concerned about what would happen. Moments later, I felt a vibrational frequency. Like I said, everything vibrates. And the other side, the more in alignment that you are with love and divinity, the higher and more infinite you vibrate. When I was in this presence, I became aware of what I know now as a Christ consciousness. You see many near-death experiencers expressing Jesus Christ himself, but to me this was deeper. This was the energy and the consciousness of Jesus himself. And this was a beautiful feeling. And when I was there, all of my worries melted away. And when I was in the presence of this, I became aware of the timelessness. And I became aware that all is well, was well, will be well. And all of my fears dissipated in this moment. Slowly, I began to notice my body going down the slide after climbing up the rungs and the ladder to it. My body was on the ground, irresponsive to the calls that people went to on the playground with me on that day. And I became aware of my own form, which was to the side of my physical body. And I could hear their thoughts. I knew what was in their heart. I became aware, almost kind of like an X-ray machine. I was able to know each participant who was with me on that day, but from a very deep spiritual angle. And what I became aware of was that I could see them, but they couldn't see me, and that was a little bit difficult. Moments later, I began to be able to see energetic fields, electromagnetic fields, and we all have an aura to us, which is just our own emanated energy from our essence, from our beings. And so I was able to see different colors shimmering from all the participants with me on that day. And moments later, I became aware of an endless sea of angels that was slowly floating right in front of me. Now, angels aren't a million miles away. They're also over here. And when I saw the angels right in front of me, I began to notice their beauty, how they were just sending unconditional love to the whole situation, to the planet. They had no distinctive identities. They were all very uniformal, but I could hear their sounds, and I could see their beautiful golden colors, and they were very childlike in their presentation. And I almost had to pinch myself because, wow, these were all angelic beings right in front of me. And I also became aware of my own spirit guides, which we are contracted to before we get here. And I remembered this through my near-death experience and post-NDE and subsequent memories. In the pre-life planning phase, we choose our guides and our guides choose us. And they're there before we come here, and they're there with us every step of this journey. And I had a male as well as female guide. And when I looked at them, I was in awe at how incredibly beautiful they were. But I was also in awe that they were deeply connected to me and invested in me, and I was blown away by their beauty and their magnificence. Imagine you have an infatuation with a Hollywood celebrity that you feel is just on such a pedestal far away from you. But imagine somehow, some way, that person that you put on an untouchable pedestal has the same feelings and respect and admiration for you too. And that's what I felt from the guides, that they were as in love with me and as in awe with me and all of us as we are with them. And slowly I began to notice different figures coming my way. And these figures were what I could call a soul family. Think of life like a stage. We all take different roles and different acts, but we live on the stage through the similar actors and actresses, having different parts and different roles throughout different lifetimes. Some stay over there and they help to orchestrate, the play and direct it, and others are actually on the stage. So that's how soul family works, where throughout thousands of years we are part of a soul group, intimate soul group that we reincarnate with. As all, the human race is one big soul group, although sometimes we forget that. But this is more of a nuclear soul group, which each soul has a very nuclear connection to and a very personal, close connection to with their own soul team. And as I became aware of them, I instantaneously remembered them and I knew who they were. And so my spirit guides were with me, the angels were in the distance above me, my soul family was there. I was posed a question as to Jacob, what will you do? Will you stay and continue on the other side? Or will you continue to live out this life, continuing in my body as a 3-year-old, kid? And I was not sure what I wanted to do. I was put in a quandary. I didn't know what to do. And so I asked, what will happen if I stay? What will my life be like? Why am I here? What's my purpose? And I was able to see these flashing images of my own life and what I did and the impact that I had and the love that I experienced with my own family. But also I was able to see different lifetimes before this lifetime. And this is commonly known as a life review, except it encompassed other past lives before I got to this life. But the lifetime that most stuck out to me was a lifetime in which I had a death by suicide. And I say death figuratively as I'm living proof that there is no death, but it was a transition from that life. And I instantaneously knew and became connected to a lot of the students that I was connected to in that particular lifetime. I began to get emotional. And I also remembered how that lifetime, transitioned. I remember that my back was against the wall, that there was no hope, there was no end, and I felt a similar degree of suffocation. And I saw that there was no judgment after I made my decision. There was just pure understanding and pure love, and my soul obviously continued as I'm here today with you all. But I saw the parallels of my near-death experience in that last lifetime. When my own physical breath was taken from me, I was able to let go of the pain and surrendered to the breath of eternity, which is the essence of who we are. Our soul is birthed from the eternal Creator. And I am Jewish. I grew up in the Jewish faith. And the word for spirit is ruach, which translates the wind or the breath of God. So each and every one of us, we all are bestowed with this eternal breath. And when life seems to be difficult or hard or challenging, it's important to always connect to the breath of eternity to allow us to navigate some of the challenges and to surrender to the greater force within each and every one of us, as we all are divine sparks. We all have a divine masterpiece within each and every one of us. And slowly I was able to become aware of what I would be doing in this life. These are called premonitions. And the guides in the spirit realm were able to show me exactly what I would do and the amount of people that I spoke to and how I was, a healer in this lifetime and sharing all of the good news that we are eternal, we don't die, we continue, those that needed to hear it. And from seeing that, and seeing the faces in the crowd and the people that I connected to, I thought to myself, wow, the hereafter is beautiful, the other side is beautiful. What about bring the hereafter to the here now? Heaven can wait if we bring it here, if we remember it here. We don't have to die to get to heaven, we could simply remember it in this body. And when the body goes, we could transition and release ourselves to the spirit realm. So with that decision to commit to this lifetime, all of the spirit guides and angels and soul family members left my immediate awareness. And I was left with a lot of doubt. I just said, geez, how's this going to happen? How's this going to work? How am I going to complete what I agreed to do? Is it going to be worth it? I just turned down heaven and now I have to go back to this human realm. And the guides left me with this message. We all have a blueprint. We all have a life charted before us. There's an infinite intelligence that creates each and every one of us. It's important to modify our thoughts, but also to trust in the higher thoughts versus the voices of fear and lower vibration and doubt, and to trust in God, to trust in the spirit realm more than our own fears. And so there's a story of two wolves. And the boy asks, which one will win with the two wolves? And the answer is the one that you feed. And that's the way that the mind works. We all have a mind within ourselves, and we have a higher mind and a lower mind, or upper room or lower room. And the room that is more dominant in our life is the one that will take more precedence. And so a couple lessons is, A, we are eternal. We don't die, we go on forever. B, we have many different lives and many different deaths. We go on. C, we all have a divine spark within. We all are infinite spiritual beings. Sometimes we associate that with the ascended masters or teachers or people who are healers at big pedestals and stuff like that. And they can be too, but we are those people that we admire, who are teachers or guides or luminaries, or just a reflection of the beauty and the masterpiece within. And also the power of surrender and how important surrendering is. In our society, we're so used to holding on to pain. And when we hold on to pain, we resist the flow, the intelligence in front of us. What we resist persists. When we let go, our spirit could blossom and grow. We don't have to do it all our own. And we all have an angelic team around us, from our spirit guides, our soul family members, angels all around us. And all you have to do is just ask and set your intention. And spirit will be able to deliver and be with you at each step of the journey. You just have to be alive while you're alive. And remember who you are. Remember where we come from. Remember where we're headed. This is a one-way ticket back home. We're all here just experiencing and journeying. And so enjoy the journey. Make the most of it. Find ways to remember that part of you. Constantly challenge that box of reality that you see yourself as. And be an explorer. As that is how you will find new terrain, and new lands, and new expansion within your everyday life. I hope this video was helpful. My pleasure. And thank you again. Jacob Cooper here, signing off. This is my NDE encounter. Some of the lessons, wisdom that I hope you could take for yourselves. Maybe pass it on to someone who may be of need. I know God is with you. I know Spirit is with you. Just align yourself with that divine force within. Remember who you are. And constantly keep on climbing the ladder and ascending higher and higher via my name, Jacob's Ladder, who had a near-death experience as a playground. In a playground. We're all children in God's playground. My NDE, kind of like Jacob's Ladder. We're all just ascending higher and higher. Every day in every way. Through awareness, we are getting better and better. Love to all. Thank you.